It is 91.7 WCUR in Westchester on the Rock and Roll Pizza Show. My name is Vinnie. We have a very special guest on the phone lines. He is best known as the drummer of the rock band The Hooters and currently has his own project out called the In the Pocket Project, who are playing the Ardmore Music Hall Saturday, April 28th. We're speaking with the great David Uosikkinen. How you doing, David?
I'm doing really well, Vinnie. This is Vinnie, right?
Yes, it is. It's wonderful to speak with you.
Yeah, it's nice to be on your show. I'm doing really well, thanks. I'm real well.
Yep, yeah, and Uosikkinen, it's a hard name to spell, and my last name is Jangilio, so we sort of fit in that category.
Yeah, you know the pain. Actually, you did pretty well though. Actually, that's quite good. It's it's actually Uosikkinen, but how many people in America, like people speaking English, it's always, something else, and you did really well with it, so no problem. Just call me Dave. It's all good.
All right, thanks, Dave. I'm curious, how did the In the Pocket project start out?
Actually, it's just the actual name of the project is David Uosikkinen's In the Pocket. We had a little tag here, Essential Songs of Philadelphia. So basically, I grew up in this area. I grew up in Bucks County, Levittown, and raised on AM radio. I mean, I go back, and all my inspiration is like music, other than what I would see on TV, but Philadelphia radio and all that. So that was like, my roots. And I joined the Hooters living in Philadelphia, and we did our thing. We're still doing our thing. I leave on tour, and I'm in Europe the whole month of July. We got a few dates before that, but I lived in the West Coast. When did I move to the West Coast? In 1990, I moved to Los Angeles, and I was out in the West Coast for 20 plus years, and eventually I ended up coming back to Philadelphia. And I mean, I would always come back from, when the Hooters hub out of here, so we would do our rehearsals and, whatever stuff going on, it was always based out of Philadelphia. So I'd be back 5-6 times a year, and I still had family back here.
Wow.
But after I moved back to live almost 10 years ago, and when I did, it was just right after the Phillies won the World Series, and the restaurant scene changed. It was like the energy and the vibe was just so different than when I left. The city was just, and I thought it was like every city, maybe just, the economics of the country, what was going on, but it was Philly. Philly was having a resurgence, and I'm walking through Rittenhouse Square with my now wife, Dallin, but she was my girlfriend at the time, and I was saying that I just wanted to do a project as you called it, a project, something outside of it, because I'm a member of the Hooters, and so I wanted to do something, and basically what it came down to is, paying homage to the great music that came out of the city. And the reason I called it Essential Songs of Philadelphia, it's the songs that influence me. I mean, I don't have a board of people that say, okay, it's got to be this song. I just picked arbitrarily. I had a list of songs I wanted to do, and it started off, I think the very first song that we did was a song that probably nobody ever heard. It was a song called All My Mondays by an artist that was, I saw him on Don Kirshner's rock concert, and you're probably too young to remember this, but it was a TV show where you could see bands play, cool bands play, and there was this guy, Joey Wilson, being introduced by Don Kirshner, and he was being produced by the keyboard player from Blondie, and I was like, how do I not know this guy? And he was on TV, and he was cool, but he didn't have any major success, but he got on the radio here, never really broke out. And that was my very first song, because it was like a B-side. But to me, the music, Joey was a hit, a success out of Philadelphia. And that's the way I looked at it. And that was the very first song that we did. And then we did, and then there's a band called Nas, which Todd Rundgren who's a famous, Todd, which amazes me that he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He should be.
Yeah, he rightfully should be. Yeah, and there's also the original version of "Hello, It's Me" is on there as well.
Yeah, I think I Open My Eyes was that the B? Was that the B side? I think it was the B side.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was the B, right? It was the B side, and "Hello, It's Me" was the A side, which Todd didn't even sing. Stookie sang that, and Stookie, I think, sang "Open My Eyes" as well, and that was a song that Philadelphia back in the day when, what's really great about what you guys can do is that I don't think you. Plus, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're doing, you don't have a program director. You get to play more. It's less constricted than like commercial radio. You can play songs that you dig, and maybe you have a meeting about that, but it's less confined. Am I right?
We do have a program director. His name is Walter, right. But he actually the main thing he does is just schedule us and stuff like that, and we're just going to play whatever the hell we want.
Oh, that's the way radio used to be. A radio DJ could change a bit, could go out one night, see a band, get a record, play it the next day, and that's that happened with the Hooters, like the Nas. I mean, it was just a whole different thing. Radio, it was just completely different.
Yeah, and
Nas, of course, "Open My Eyes" was my second song, and then I did "You Can't Sit Down" and had Tommy come sing it. So the project basically was these songs that I would pick out that I really loved, that changed my life in some way, inspired me, and then I would bring in musicians that I rarely get a chance to work with because my life belonged to the Hooters. That was my band. So I thought if I do this project, I would bring in all these different cool cats that I always dug, and I could play with them. And that was 8 years ago. We started doing that. We started putting out a song about every 4 months, about like 2 songs a year. And that slowed up a little bit because my schedule, which amazes me, has gotten busier. So the last song I put out was "Escalator of Life," which was done last May, June. And now we're about to release "You Can't Get to Heaven" on the Frankford L, which was by the American Dream in 1967.
Yep.
And Todd Rundgren, that was one of his. I think that was his first record he ever produced.
Exactly.
And that was another band that never broke out really, but amazing, talented people. And Nick Jamison was in that band, who went on to produce Foghat and played with Paul Butterfield and became an actor. So it's cool. And we're not just basically locked into rock music. I mean, I covered disco Inferno.
Yep.
I had T.J. Tyndall, who was the original band leader on that session with the Tramps back in 75, 76. And, he unfortunately is no longer with us, but he was on my session as well for the In the Pocket version of that. So it basically does that. And if people are interested in checking it out, they can go to a website. It's songsinthepocket.org. I'll say that again, songsinthepocket.org. And they can see a video with some history of the song and the guys that are playing on the song. You can get the song if you want. There's all these photos from the sessions. And it's been a labor of love, because, I get to play with these great musicians, and it's like paying back a little bit to what Philadelphia has done for me as an artist.
And music-wise in Philadelphia, I think the best part of Philadelphia music is it's representative of the pizza pie that is rock and roll, or even music in general.
Yeah.
And I actually use that analogy, which is actually why the show's named after it. And a good friend of yours, Pierre Robert, always uses this analogy on WMMR. Yeah. And
he's a family friend of ours. I mean, my wife and him are like brother and sister, and he's at our house at holidays, and we love Pierre. And Pierre is one of those guys that understands the city, understands the people, and what's really amazing about Philadelphia, and what your listeners probably know, and if they don't, is that we got this rich history of great rock and roll, amazing rock and rollers that came out of the city. Charlie Gracie, who the Beatles covered, and
song Butterfly
some years ago. I played on his record a couple of years ago too.
Wow.
And you have bands, Nas, that came out here, Robert Hazard, just this great history of rock music. But then you have the Philly Folk Festival. And at one time, you couldn't bring an electric guitar on there. That was like Philly folk music. And it created And I should mention Philly International. You got the Philly soul, R&B, disco. It created a melting pot of sound and music and a vibe that's like nowhere else in the world. I'd say the only place that really has something similar would be New Orleans, because I really think that Philly has got this, like you say, it's a gumbo, it's a melting pot, it's eclectic in a lot of ways in our taste. So it's a special place for music. You can hear cool music when you come in, and like your radio station, the stations that are in town. But I think what I love about what you guys do is you get the freedom to change artists' lives. You play something on your station, and as being one myself, the first time I heard myself on the radio, I nearly drove off the road. It was like, oh my God. So it's cool, and I admire what you do.
Thank you very much. And my favorite part of this new one, Frankford L, I actually played it on Sunday, and it was my favorite part of it was around 1 minute 50 seconds in, and the great Pennsylvania names. Like my favorite part of that song was like the Allegheny and the 69th Street.
Yeah, all the streets, man. That was actually the original. Didn't have that rap on it, but Winkle about 20 years ago, Don Van Winkle, who was a member of the American Dream. Nicky and Delicato sang the song. Who was the lead singer in the band, and so and all of my tracks I always have somebody else sing it. But Winkle was in the band, and I had him sing it. And then I brought in all these. There was these students from the School of Rock, from the Berwyn School, and the one from Fort Washington that came in, and they did the rap with us. And all the streets are on there, and it's just a fun track. It wasn't one of those where we went and did a lot of overdubs. We cut it, and I think the video will be around real soon. And it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I believe that children are our future and the great future of rock and roll. And you obviously mentioned Frankford L and the song "Beat Up Guitar." And I think is it very special to you in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I found this out when we cut Frankford L, that I originally thought, well, that was something that Eric and Rob used on Beat Up Guitar in the bridge. Can't get to heaven on the Frankford L, and repeat it. And I thought that was something they got from the American Dream, which they did. But oddly enough, Nick Jameson was on the L, and he heard this guy singing this line, and it was from... and excuse me because I can't give you the title, but it really kind of inspired Frankford L, because it's a similar type of line. And then he went to band practice with the band and said, I got this song. And it was this guy was singing this other song, but it was a similar melody. And I wish I could tell you what it is, but I don't. But they also kind of lifted it as well. So, the Frankford L is, legendary in song. And the Hooters song "Beat Up Guitar," Frank Can't Get to Heaven on the Frankford L, and it had to be on this record that I'm putting out, which I'll be putting out a record at some point. I'm 2 songs away. I want to put out another CD, and I want to put out an album because I think album records are really cool, and I like to do that. And if anybody, I don't know if they're interested, we do a party. We're playing at the Ardmore Music Hall on April 28th. That's in Ardmore, PA, and we'll be debuting Frankford L, and then we'll be doing all those other songs, and I got Tommy Kamal playing with me, and Richard Bush, and Richie Charlie Ingwe, Don Van Winkle. It's a great night of music. Great night.
Yeah, amazing. And I was wondering, what is the how do you pick a specific song that you intend to record? I mean, you mentioned 2 songs a year. How do you pick?
Yeah. Well, so far I'm still on my list, and then there's songs that have been suggested to me. I love the band Ween. I think they're really cool. I'd like to eventually do one of their songs. There's artists that I haven't got to yet, but I right now there was a list that I had. Of songs that, from my song that, list of songs that inspired me or moved me. I wasn't here. I'll give you a story about, Disco Inferno. I was never a disco guy, but the reason I did the song is, that scene, it was the biggest song that came out of Philadelphia, believe it or not. And that scene over there with Earl, the rhythm section just had a thing at Philly International, and Gamble and Huff, it seemed like everything they touched went gold or platinum. And David Bowie came to record there at Sigma, and Robert Palmer, and there's these great bands from all over the country. Said, like, I want to go and get that Philly sound. And I thought that Disco Inferno was basically, since it was so big and it was in the movie Saturday Night Fever, and I just thought, that would be ideal to do. But it was more about the cats that were playing on it, playing drummer Earl Young and, Kenny Baker on bass, and it was just a real scene. Bobby Eli and TJ, of course, and but that was more picked because of the reputation. I knew TJ driving to the session. Back then, he was a 20-year-old guy that was like in his 20s, and he'd be driving to work, and he was playing on OJ's records and the stylistics and things like that. It was just great music. So it was a cool thing, and it was like paying homage to that time and that scene.
And do you intend to record stuff within your list? And by any chance things like Baru Review or Alan Mann, somewhere around those lines? Yeah. There's one in particular because Greg from Baru Review plays on this song. They're on my list, and matter of fact, every time it comes to the holidays, it's what is it? On the Block.
Christmas
on the Block.
Yeah, dude, that one is something that's been covered by a lot of people already. But he has some other great songs too.
Like Fear of Heights.
That one is going to suggest it to me a lot.
Like Fear of Heights.
Yeah, maybe that one. That's another one that's gotten a lot of play and a lot of emails my way.
Yeah,
that's really good. It's really good.
Yep. So basically, I'm still trying to figure out what is the future for the Hooters. Will you be playing at the Keswick Theater soon, or?
Well, it's been typically we play there every year, and it's been happening, but it hasn't been announced yet. So I, as a band guy, don't really know. I know my schedule with the Hooters up till let me see. I'm going to play 2 nights in Ocean City, New Jersey on the 19th and 20th of June. And then I get on a plane and I fly to Europe. I think it is on July 5th. And I'm gone for a month. I come back early August. So the Hooters play there, and we do, I think, we're there for 29 days. So we're busy when we're playing there. And then there's some stuff that comes up in the fall, but I don't want to say we're not playing at Keswick. I'm certain that we'll be playing somewhere, but it hasn't been announced yet.
All right, and thanks to things like In the Pocket Project and the promotion of the station that brought me to radio and a wannabe DJ there, WMMR, and I believe that the great music of Philadelphia will live on because of those two. Do you think the same?
Yeah, I do. I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged. Like this evening, my plans are today is after I get done with you, I got some music stuff I got to do. But then I'm going to go play with I'm going to Newtown, Pennsylvania, to play with the music students at School of Rock. And every time I go there and I play, they're going to be doing some Hooters songs, and they're doing a list of songs. They're doing some Philly and New Jersey songs, and I'm going to help them out and jam with them. And I'm always encouraged because these drummers are also good, and the musicians and the singing, and I think the young artists of today are smart because they're using every bit of technology to broaden themselves as musicians. They're listening to music and they're making themselves better musicians, and I'm encouraged in that way and I'm encouraged when I hear a guy like you, Vinnie, that wants to go. That you talk about Pierre and you understand the commitment he's made to music and playing music, and I love him for a lot of reasons.
And one more thing before I let you go, do you believe that the Hooters should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, even though the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't really don't really have that much Philly artists?
Yeah, that's what Daryl and John both were really upset about. Daryl said, I don't know if we meet the criteria on that, because a lot of that is, but I'm happy that John Bon Jovi got in, because I know Richie, and those guys. So I'm happy for that. I don't know. Those, we certainly have stood the test of time. Our more successes have been more in Europe. So I don't know how they look at that. But they still play us on the radio. So you don't know whether or not we meet the criteria. I couldn't tell you, but we certainly. I feel proud of the music that we've made. I think that Rob and Eric are just genius songwriters, and somehow we've managed to stay together for almost 40 years, and we put on good shows. So whether or not that ever happens, it would be lovely and nice, but I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah. Then again, there are a lot of politics coming into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like many classic rock bands all these years, from Moody Blues to Chicago, and they're finally in. Yeah,
you're right. And then you hear people get in, and you're like, "Well, what's that?" I'm happy that they have such a thing. I think it's good because it helps awareness of great older music that was made, and with me, I'm just having fun making these. Like, I was in LA last week. I recorded 3 new songs for some songwriters, and I'm always getting sessions. And by the way, if you got any songwriters out there, if you go to Dave View at Dave View Drums or Dave View Drums, I have a website where people send me songs, and I cut the songs for them for a fee, a small fee, and so that's been fun. And so I'm always hearing great new music, and so life is good. Life is good, and I got no complaints, man. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not.
Great, and we'll run out of time, so I'd like to ask you for one more thing before I let you go. Sure. Do you think you can give us a little station ID saying, like, "Hi, this is Dave, and you're listening to 91.7 WCUR The Curve," or something like that?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to pull this up because I have your call letters in front of me, so I get it right. And I want to do that, Vinnie. Okay, so 91.7 WCUR The Curve. Can I say that?
Sure, correct. Mundo.
Or how do you say it? What do you guys usually say?
This is David Uosikkinen, and you're listening to 91.7 WCUR The Curve.
Oh, cool. I could do that. You ready?
Ready.
Hi, this is David Uosikkinen of the Hooters, and in the pocket, you're listening to. Let me do it again.
Okay.
I'll do it again.
Take 2.
Take 2. Hi, this is David Uosikkinen of the Hooters and In the Pocket, and you're listening to 91.7 The Curve.
Perfect. I love it. I love it.
All right, man. Listen, Vinnie, thank you. It's been a real pleasure, and keep up the good work.
It's a real pleasure, too. Cheers.
All right, buddy. Take care. Cheers.